I'm here down under, that's Australia, Melbourne. Now, my topic is about communication and leadership. So, I know there's a lot that being said on communication and leadership. So, I'm going to use office politics to define how we can handle this area. All right. So, I'm going to do my screen shares at the same time. So, just a quick check. Do let me know if you can see the screen that I'm sharing right now. Do you see the screen that I'm sharing? I will take that as yes. Now, so as I said, my name is Amit Khanna and I'm here. Thank you very much for addressing that. And I'm Amit here, and I'm here to talk to you about mastering your communication and corporate strategies with the 3C framework that I have built. Now, like I said, there's a lot said on the communication and leadership. I want to divert into this area. I will not give you the framework just as it is, but what I'll do is I'll share three real life personal stories where I'm part of that story to help and understand how we can build Hi, apologies for the tech side of this. Probably it takes time for the network to reach from Australia to Paris. Apologies for that. Like I said, so I'm going to share three key stories. And my first story starts with a lady called and I want to share my screen. My first story starts with Aparna. Now, Aparna is somebody who actually is my client. Now, Aparna joined me in the year last year in November. She first came to me with a problem. While discussing initially about all the corporate issues that she's been facing and all the neglection and how she's not confident, I started to dig deeper, and this is where I realized two major things. One is that her manager is constantly asking her to leave the job. And even if, almost every day, hey, Aparna, you're still there? Oh, I thought you might have left by now, and so on and so forth. I also realized the second thing was that she was on depression medications for last 1.5 years because of the office politics issues that she has been facing. Now that gave me a lot of, it was a pain. It is a pain to understand that how much a person can get to that level, and how much you can actually irritate or torture somebody. I have to use that word. It got me into three things. Is number one is that I asked Aparna, so what do we want to do now? And she said, Amit, I want to learn how to be confident, handle this situation, handle this manager. And I said, Aparna, one thing we need to learn and understand is that we cannot change others. We cannot change others. We can only change ourselves so that the perception of ourselves for others can also change eventually. And that brings me to the first thing. The first thing is, how do you stay calm? It's about how do you master yourself. That's the first part of the C framework, is how do you stay calm. So I worked with Aparna. We worked on her body language. We worked on her action, not the reaction that she used to share. We worked on how her voice and tone would work when she has to go back and say no or say or complain about it. Because understand one thing, if you are a qualified person, if you know your job very well, it's all about the authority that you can showcase. It's all about the conviction that you can showcase to the other person to show that I'm confident. Because when a nervous truth will always sound like a lie, And a confident lie is a truth. And the point here is, we're not here to tell lie or a truth, but all I'm trying to say is that when you're confident, when you exhibit that level of confidence, it changed the whole system. And that's exactly what she was missing. So I worked with her on her body language. I worked with her on her voice and tone pattern. I worked with her on her time management issues so that we can fix what we can do internally before we go and share things externally. And that's what calm is all about. Calm is about, it's not about handling stress. There's definitely a lot of way to handle stress, but it's about maintaining your power in that situation. So how did we do that? We basically take care of the stress and emotions. We worked on the body language. We made sure that there's a voice and control pattern so the person sounds confident, is not just confident like that. And we also worked on the time management to reduce anxiety. Let's face it, when there's a time pressure, it's always ticking bomb, right? And then the last thing is this, just a food of thought, which I have for every area, is that think about yourself. Think about the time when you reacted emotionally. And I'm not saying emotional reactions are not good. All I'm saying is that what and how can you react to it? How would you use your voice and tone, your body language to showcase that emotion? That might bring a better change in us. I want to move on to the next one, which is the second story. It is about my mother. My mother is no more. I lost both my father and my mother like close to 2 decades ago. God bless their souls. Now, my mother was a very pristine lady. She was the most tidiest person that I've ever seen. Now, I hail from India, so my mother used to wear a sari. And she was so particular about the sari and all the crease inside it that she was very careful on how she portrays herself. She was so tidy and clean and, about how she functions, that if you come to my house and you find a spoon in a drawer and you come back after 5 years, you'll find the spoon in the same drawer. What does that share? I know you might say that, oh, that's perfectionism, but I say that that is called as mise en place in French. It's basically, the point here is, it's everything has its place. And that's exactly what I learned from my mother. She was very particular, like I said, about everything. What did I learn from that, and what can you learn, and what does my clients learn, or the whole world learns here, is that when you are clear in your thoughts, when you declutter your brain, you start thinking much better. When you declutter your desk, now you can observe where's what. When you declutter the thoughts that are coming across in your mind, you can now start thinking clearly, right? Where does it help us? It helps us. Imagine this, you're in a meeting, you're in a conflict scenario right now, or you're talking to somebody, and the other person is talking to you, and you have a lot of thoughts going on. And what happens is, if you're not able to declutter that thoughts, you're not listening to that person. Active listening goes away. And that's exactly what we need to do. I have used this, and it's still learning in progress because it's a difficult task to do so. But it's still learning in progress. The key here is, how can I make sure to use this concept in my day-to-day life? How can I make sure that I at least learn from my mother on how to be pristine the way she handled herself? How can I use that in my office? How can I handle that well? And to do that, here are a few things I would like to share. And that brings me to the second part of the framework. It is the clear part. Communicating effectively. The lesson here is very simple, is that we have so many things in our brains. If we can create some sort of a clarity, if we can compartmentalize these things properly, your work, your communication, you basically now generate more confidence because now you're clear. How many times it has happened to you that someone has said that, can you repeat that again? I didn't get it. I don't know. I didn't get it. You're not very clear. Or sometimes it happens that you have so many thoughts that you just don't know what to say now. And the other part is, if you're unclear, not structured with your thoughts, you will throw things away wherever it is possible, right? You'll not do better presentations. You'll not be able to handle meetings properly because you do not know how to start them, continue them, and end them. And this is where the difference is between an amazing communicator versus someone who just is there to present. There is no structure. And that's what we lack. So, how do we take care in this area? Well, you can take care by a simple framework. Now, of course, you can Google this framework further because I do not want to take time here. I want to do a lot of Q&A with you. I want to know if you have more questions for you or what do you think about it. But the core is that you use the state, explain, reiterate framework. You can make sure that you're listening for listening and not for reacting. If you want to reduce work stress, figure out what is that unnecessary thing and focus on what truly matters. Again, declutter. I want to ask you this thing. How many of you have walked in a meeting where there's no agenda? Or someone who takes the agenda as throws it into the bin and starts with something different? How many really know what you want? Because the more I ask this question, so what's your problem? Or what do you want? People always say what they don't want. It clearly showcases that what is the clutter in their mind? Where is the prioritization happening? And that brings us to the next part. Like I said, I apologize for the technical problem and I hope it doesn't happen again. And I want to give most of the time for us to do better in terms of Q&A as well. So I want to get onto the third area, which is the Shruti's story. This is back in 2016, and I was being a project manager. I was working for one of the Canadian companies, and I was in India. So we had this time zone factor as well. I was sitting at my desk and it was around 10:30 or so. And one of my team members, I pinged her something asking some information and she didn't respond it for 15 minutes. I can see her across. And I saw that she's a bit upset. There's a certain frown on her face. So I told her, hey, Shruti, let's go for a quick break. Let's have some tea. We drink a lot of tea back in India. So I asked her for a tea break. And while the tea break, I asked her, Shruti, is there something bothering? Now, let me give you a quick background. Shruti is right now, as I say, is around 3.5, 4 months into her pregnancy. So she told me, Amit, morning sickness has started. As a human being, as a father, I understand what she's saying. So she thought that she will go to her reporting manager or line manager, as we say, and she spoke to him about this. The line manager went through the policy and procedure of the company and took her to HR. In India, I'm not sure what the policy is right now, but at least back then, there was 3 months of pregnancy leave. So Shruti goes with her manager to the HR and shares this problem that I can't come at around 9 o'clock. That's expected, but she'll be there by around 10:30. And HR, being HR, and I'm sorry if any one of you are into that area, but I understand your position as well. HR said that, Shruti, you can take your leaves right now. Now, I understand this. Being worked with a lot of female colleagues as well, that they would like to take their 3 months of break closer to their pregnancy so that they can take care of themselves after the pregnancy and their child as well, so that they can settle down. And this brings me to the question. I asked her, why did you go to him? And she said, you're the project manager, he's the line manager, and so on. So she was very upset. Now, this is the time when I'm the project manager. So I have to now start taking the leadership hat. So I wore my leadership hat and I proposed to her something. I told Shruti that, Shruti, we are on a Canada-based project. So I'm going to create a shift for you. A shift as in we work from 9 to 6. I'm going to create 11 to 8 p.m. shift for you. Since you are pregnant and, we do not want females to work beyond 6 p.m. at office, you can go to home and then log in from there. Is that acceptable? And she was delighted. She was delighted, and we were very happy with this arrangement. Then came the time when it was around 7th month for her, 7 or 7.5 months, if I recall well. And we were close. Now I work in IT, and we put the code into production. Just think it that we're going to go live and stuff like that. All right. So once the work is done, we also want to monitor it and support it. So Shruti, I asked Shruti, so when's your due date? And she told me about it and said, Shruti, what do you want to do next? Amit, I don't want to take the break now. I said, all right, we're going to enter into the post-production phase. Would you be on-call support for this project? And you don't have to come to office, and you can work from home for the next 1 month. Will that work for you? She was delighted. Of course, there's criteria that she might have to log in sometimes at 10 p.m. or 11 p.m. as well. But she was fine because we had a lot of things we were handling from Canada as well. So that brings me to the third part, is collaboration. It's not about, leadership is not just about the work getting done. Leadership is about how you work with the human beings that are getting the work done. And I'm not saying that, I did something great. It's just the feeling, the understanding of the situation where they are in. Right? And this is exactly what the next part talks about. It's the third C of my framework: collaboration, collaborative. It's leading with influence. So what's the lesson here? The lesson is that being collaborative doesn't mean being weak. It doesn't mean that I am trying to bend down, or, it's a win-win situation, or it's 50-50 and all that thing. It's mean that we work strategically, making sure that the company's bottom line is taken care of, as well as the humans who are working in that company are taken care of, right? And we can do that. There are ways to handle it. So what are the things that a person needs to learn, or what do we help people here with? We help people here with conflict resolution. Understand one thing: conflicts will happen. And it is not necessarily what you see at the surface. It could be the values that the people carry. It could be that they might had a very bad fight while they came to work, or it could be many other situations. But the question here is, I treat conflicts as gold mines because that is the time where people share what they feel like. If you can just start your meetings or conversation in a way saying that, whatever we decide in this meeting, I understand it's a very tricky situation. There's a lot of emotions running around. Whatever we decide in this meeting is for the benefit of the whatever it is, a project, program, whatever you're doing. If we think that, now the conflict is on the topic and not on me. And that's exactly what we want to take care of. This is what takes office politics a little bit away from you. The next thing you want to take care is understand how to build trust. Credibility is everything. Credibility is the certifications that you do, the knowledge that you have. It's how do you share that? That's important. How do you influence with that is very important. Next is negotiation. Now, of course, Cialdini's 6 principles of persuasion, negotiation, like they're the fantastic ones. And they really help. They do help. And of course, understanding the power dynamics is very, very important. In our area, if I say one thing that is the most impactful thing is stakeholder management. You need to know who's who. You need to know who's who to understand how you can work with them and how you can ensure that you become an influencer rather than a shoe shiner. Apologies for that word. So, what is the thing that you can take from here? Think of a time you helped someone. You helped someone at work beyond your job role. You stepped into that leadership position and took care of that. And this is the framework that I have been talking about, the calm, clear, and collaborative framework. And if you can see that someone who can take care of the calm, clear, and collaborative, take care of myself first, then I take care of the work that I do, and then I take care of the people that I work with. If you can do this properly, in my sense, you become a confident corporate communicator. It doesn't matter what gender you're in, right? And you can observe how you can handle this well. So let's sum it up now so that we have some time for Q&As. We have some time for hearing your opinions, your views, what you have to say, or if you have a story to tell me. With calm, you can maintain your composure in tough situations. One of the biggest things that I've learned is the power of pause. One of my clients today was asking that, if someone is really not good to you, is sarcastic to you, or trying to put onto you, heavy statements, what do you do, Amit? And I said, just pause. Pause and look into their eyes and just tell them, I'm very surprised that you're talking to me in this tone. Is there anything that I troubled you with? With clear, like my mother said, God bless her, is that you communicate effectively and confidently, because now you're clear in your thoughts, you're clear of what you want to achieve, you're clear in what you want others to achieve. And of course, with collaboration, you build ethical teams, you build strong teams, you build leaders. That's what our job is. Our job is to ensure that we not only empower them, but we help them to grow and be better at what they are good at. My question to you is, tomorrow it's Monday. Which one you think you're going to implement? With that, this brings me to the end. I have few thank you notes that I want to give before we can open up for Q&A and your feedback and your questions. The first one is I want to give you a thank you here. And I want to do that using this link. So I'm going to stop my screen for a second and I'm going to paste the link in the chat as well. I believe in feedbacks. There you go. I'm very happy to see a lot of comments here. David says calm. Aruki says calm. Arjun says clear. Denny confident. That's a feedback. Now, when you, as a thank you from my end, once you give me the feedback, we want to make sure that I give you something as well. So I have added the my book, which is the Corporate Circus ebook copy in that as a thank you from my end. It should give some more value add to you. And the last thing is that I would be very happy to connect. I'll share the links if required. You can always Google Amit Khanna speaker and we can connect as well. I am open to questions now, feedbacks. And I'll request the host, the co-host, if there's anything that you want to share, say Sabia or Melinda. There you go.
That was a really inspiring story that you have shared. And the stories of Anusha, your mother, and Shruti represents millions of women questions. And thanks for sharing your valuable suggestions, Amit. And we have a few questions from our audience, Amit. I want to ask you one of them. What are the biggest communication mistakes professionals make when transitioning into leadership roles?
Ah, fantastic. Great question, by the way. So, one of the things that when you transition into the leadership role, the key thing is first, we need to understand why we got transitioned to a leadership role. It is because that you are very good at whatever you're doing, and your management saw that you are now ready for your next level, correct? And when we move to the next level, the way the whole system or the hierarchy of any organization is, it is always when you get onto the next level, the key is that we want others to be like you, where you were amazing. So the most important thing is people management. We do not want you to do the same thing there, but we want you to teach others what you were doing at the one level down. And this is where people management starts. This is where the complexity starts, because, well, let's say, be honest, we are very complex nature. Hope this helps.
Yeah, you got the best answer, Amit. And thank you so much for your valuable time. Thank you.